Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll be discussing tips for the removal and replacement of the positive crankcase ventilation valve on this 2019 Honda CR-V with the 1.5 liter engine. If you find my tips to be helpful, please like, subscribe, and comment. Now let's get started. The positive crankcase ventilation valve is located at the center of your screen near the tip of my pointer. The valve is mounted to the back of the engine block underneath that wire bundle. Some of the symptoms associated with a faulty valve include oil leaks, and that's if you have a valve that's stuck in the closed position, black smoke from the exhaust, rough acceleration, excessive oil consumption, and that's if the valve is stuck in the open position, rough idle or stalling, sludge built up in the crankcase, and that's also if the valve is stuck in the closed position. You'll also have a check engine code, which is the P1505, and that points to a vacuum leak associated with the intake system. But also you could have trouble codes associated with a faulty O2 sensor. The valve is stuck in the open position, too much crankcase gas is flowing through into the intake, but that gas does not contain sufficient octane, and so the engine will read that as a too lean condition. What does this part do? The valve is a one-way valve that routes harmful crankcase gases back to the combustion chamber to be burned as part of the air-fuel mixture. Our parts list includes a positive crankcase ventilation valve and a 10mm socket, an extension, and a ratchet. Please see other items in the description below. And so at this time, let's just move forward with the removal and replacement of the valve. How often should you replace the PCV valve? It really varies. And what I want to say is that every other time you change the oil in your vehicle, it would be a very good practice just to take this part out, take a look at it, note the condition of it, either clean it and or replace it. Say like every fourth oil change. If you're tracking your repairs in that way, I wouldn't go any longer than 30,000 miles without at least pulling it out and inspecting it, okay? And that's kind of what I'm reading across several manufacturers, is that when you go in for the 30,000 mile checkup, this is a part that's always gonna be on that list for the check, okay? So there's some tips there for you. It's really easy to take out. I've got a kind of a short extension. I'm just gonna come right in over that bolt. There you go, it's nice and loose. It's a pretty hefty bolt. Okay, so it's made to withstand pressure. Just say this is the valve itself, and then this portion of the valve is yellow. Okay, and you see how it's oriented in this way. Well, that's where the bolt went through right here. Okay, and so what you want to do is rotate that little lip, that yellow lip up, and then you can use your thumb to push it off. Okay, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Rotate it up, use my thumb, push it off, and there you have it. And here is your positive crankcase ventilation valve. This valve is extremely dirty. So this vehicle has about 74,000 miles on it. It's likely that this has never been changed. And the reason I say that is because there's just a lot of buildup on here. But let's just go ahead and take a look at it. And I did a video on the spark plugs, and this may be why the spark plugs are fouling out. This is probably stuck in the open position. You're getting too much crankcase gas blowing into the intake, and it's fouling out those spark plugs. So how do you know if this is really working? So like I mentioned before, it's a one-way check valve. And so you can shake it and see if the valve is working. Okay, it's not working very well. Let's say you checked it at 30,000 miles, it looked pretty good. Now you're at 74,000 miles and it's pretty dirty. I'm gonna quickly show you what would happen if you were to just spray some degreaser on here. And let's just quickly do a side step over into that process. Okay, I have my valve and I have some parts degreaser, okay? Turn on some hot water. See if I can remove some of the heavy sludge from the valve. Okay, there's opening here, opening there, opening there, opening there, there. Okay, I tried to get it to click, it wouldn't. So it's locked up pretty good. And so, just want to warn you, with this process, you do not want to leave the degreaser on these rubber O-rings for very long. It will deteriorate the O-ring, so be careful. First time through, just take it easy. And you want to use some safety goggles here. You don't want this stuff shooting back in your face. Okay? And I can already see that this is working. See that? Can you guys see that? There you go. So I'm gonna let that sit just for a second or two. Okay, I can already tell it's working better. Same thing, come in on the side. Like that. And then down the middle. Okay. Okay, now listen for the click here. That is clicking a lot louder than the initial click. And that's all I really wanted to show you. The bottom line here, say you replace the valve at 60,000 miles. You're doing an oil change, you say, you know what, let me check that PCV valve. You're at 74,000. You check it, it's pretty dirty. I would attempt to clean it so that it will last for the next 16,000 miles and simply replace it at the 90,000 mile mark. That would be my pro tip for you, okay? So let's go ahead and get this reinstalled in the vehicle. But before I do that, I'm just gonna rinse it off with hot water. Minimizing any damage to the O-rings. And there you go. There's a bundle of wires right here, and then there's holes right here. You're gonna come right in between that and just feel around. There you go. And it'll just drop right into place. And as I mentioned earlier, that yellow tongue will be lit in the up position. And so you just need to push it in. There you go, popped in, you heard it. I'm gonna rotate that tongue to the driver's side of the vehicle until it lines up with the bolt hole, okay? Probably just shy of 90 degrees. Wiggle your boat a little bit to get it started. Just tighten it up, it just has to be snug. And there you have it. Well, folks, that wraps up the removal and replacement of the positive crankcase ventilation valve on this 2019 Honda CR-V with the 1.5 liter engine. I hope you found my tips to be helpful. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, drive defensively.